let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Puck It with Joe. Good morning, everyone. It's time for Puck It with Joe over here on YouTube. I want to welcome all of you to the show. Thank you for being here on the daily. I'm excited for today's show. We've got 4 games out there on the ice. Now, yesterday's games, they didn't go exactly the way that I expected. We didn't see the matchups I was looking for out there. And we saw, well, a loss of money, but it's time to get back on track. That's for sure. It's time to make some freaking money. Let's go. We were able to get a couple. We got that. It started off great. We got the first period over 1.5, nice and easy between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers. And if you did come back in on the Florida Panthers, like I suggested, you were able to get them at a reasonable cost then. They were like a $2 favorite. We thought the Chicago Blackhawks would be able to give them a battle in that one. So coming back in on them on that money line. And the Rangers, the Rangers just didn't show up. So we looked at a game where the Rangers just didn't have everything in it yesterday. And it's disappointing to see when those teams do that. So it's too bad to see that happening, but we will make some freaking money today. I'm excited for this one, you guys. We've got a 4-game slate. We're going to get right into it. And yeah, I think we've got some higher scoring ones for sure out there. Now, I want to let you guys know if you're interested in an NHL Point Streak Survivor, it's going to be a lot of fun. You guys see that little QR code up there? Just scan that QR code. It will take you right to Splash Sports, where I am running an NHL Point Streak Survivor. There's going to be multiple chances. It's not like one and done like Survivor. You will have your main 2 guys and then an alternate. So definitely head on over. It is winner takes all, and it's a low entry cost, you guys. Only $10 to jump in on the Point Streak Survivor. So head on over to Splash Sports, look for that NHL Survivor, or just scan the QR code that's just right up there to be able to get in. So let's start looking at today's slate. One thing, we do have a back-to-back, right? So we saw yesterday these games. Yesterday's games, Tuesday kicking off with those 3. The Florida Panthers won 3-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Connor Bedard not even getting on the board, registering us that point, was disappointing as well. But the first period, we saw Florida win 2-1. We got over the 1.5. Both teams to score is something we should be looking at in these first periods too, when we expect both of those teams to contribute. You're going to get great plus money. So if you haven't been around over the last 5 seasons, that's something I'm going to be talking about, is both teams to score in the first period. Normally looking at that when the juice is just not, we're not getting enough value on that over 1.5. So looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins, they got up in the first period. They held it. That second period was 0-0, and then 2 goals in that third period to win it 3-0 over the New York Rangers. And the Colorado Avalanche put the LA Kings to bed last night, winning it 4-1. They got 3 goals in that third period. Nathan McKinnon just coming out fantastically strong again. So that one stayed under. All of these games stayed under those totals of 6, right where they closed. The Pittsburgh Penguins were the dog of the day, winning it at plus 202 on that money line at close. And we did see Florida, of course, win and not cover that puck line, and the Colorado Avalanche win but cover the puck line. So let's start jumping into today, you guys. Yeah, it came off the crossbars. Those are the games where you just shake your head. All right. Yeah, it really was. So there was some shames. Now I'm looking at Colorado money line and TTO. Why am I drawing a blank? Irish King on what your team total over, same game parlay. Colorado money line team total over. You cashed on that yesterday. Yeah, we'll get into a parlay for sure, Vinny, on things that we're liking out there. So let's jump into it. Hill had the saves. He absolutely did. We saw a lot of these goalies stand on their heads last night. So the goalie props were in there. Vegas Vixen, love that you're coming with that as well. In the Florida over laying the half in the New York Rangers. Yesterday it was just one of those days. So we're going to get into today. I'm going to try to go through these games as fast as possible. We're going to try to make Puck It with Joe a little bit quicker out there. Again, I will do the recap at the end of the show. So anyone looking just to jump to that recap, we will come in with those best bets again one more time at the end of the show. But the first game we're going to kick off with here is the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, you'll see those odds up on the screen. They are fluctuating a little bit, you guys. I made these graphics just like 20 minutes ago. If you're seeing any movement, that is why. We're seeing Montreal currently at plus 140 on the money line. The Toronto Maple Leafs at minus 170. And as we look at this, for me, if you're looking at a money line bet, it would be Montreal or nothing because I'm not laying minus 170 juice. But we're looking at the Montreal Canadiens plus 1.5 at minus 180. Again, unbettable for me in that market. Toronto laying the 1.5 at plus 146. So if I like Toronto, I've got to believe they can cover that puck line. If I want to bet this game, this total sitting at 6.5. Now the juice to the total is sitting on the under at minus 142. And I do think this is a reflection of what we saw out there on the ice yesterday. Yesterday's games out there on the ice really were those low scoring games. We didn't see those totals going over. So those are your odds. That is where we're sitting with this game. As we get into this matchup here, you guys, this is how we see these teams unfold the season. They start off in this rivalry game versus each other. And this is one of the most watched rivalries out there. I love to watch these two teams versus each other. Now, there are some new faces. We know Mitch Marner off to Vegas from Toronto. So he is no longer part of that core four, but there has been, Matthew Knives. I really love what this young kid brought last season. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about line combos, and we're going to look here at the game as a whole. So looking at goaltending first, we'll try to start breaking these games down by looking at goaltenders, looking at players to watch, and then where I'm going to go with these bets. So goaltending wise, you got Sam Montague confirmed in net for the Montreal Canadiens. Now looking at Sam Montague last season, he went 22-11-5 with a 2.59 goals against average and a 910 save percentage. He was stellar in some games between the pipes and other games not so great. Now, one thing to remember is how he faced Toronto in that first game last year. He was insanely on fire. 48 saves in the shutout behind the Caulfield power play goal. It was a thing of beauty for the Montreal Canadiens to start the year. And you look at the Montreal Canadiens, it's a team that was able to make the postseason last year. They have high hopes going into this season. So last season, they went 4-1 in round one versus the Washington Capitals. So they were taken out, but that was their first time in the postseason since 2021. This is a team that is young and hungry and has every ability to run it back. And I do think they're going to be able to run it back this year. We're going to need the best out of Sam Montague, and then newly acquired, Noah Dobson over from the Islanders. He was on a down season last year. We're going to need him to step back up to form. The Noah Dobson that we know can really make an impactful plays on defense, if I can talk. So we need Noah Dobson to really step up. When we look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were still at home. 27-13-1 at home last season, while Montreal was only 17-19-5 on the road. Toronto went 3-1 against the Montreal Canadiens last season, and the over was a huge trend. You guys saw those over trends, 6-2 in the last meeting to the over. Now, we know the storyline for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The last time they hosted the Cup, does anyone know this number? I'll let you guys sit on it for a minute. The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs hosted the Cup, I've got the year here for you, Toronto fans. I know that you know exactly when it was. If anyone else can tell me, let me know in the comments. But last season, they got kicked in the second round by the Florida Panthers. So heartbreaking. It was game 7, you guys. That was a series, quite the series out there. But one thing that we saw is, Austin Matthews still really didn't make that impact during the postseason that we would expect out of such a highly talented player out there on the ice. Now, we talked about Mitch Marner is gone. He headed off to Vegas. So the players to watch in this game For the Toronto Maple Leafs, you've got William Nylander. He returns as the top scorer out there for this team. 45 goals and 84 points for the Leafs last season. You got Austin Matthews. He had an injury-riddled season last year. He's looking to have that big bounce back. And then you got Matthew Knives. This young kid was so impactful, especially in the playoffs. And I do think he is going to make that impact for them. But you also have another player that has stepped up into that core four. So stepping up into the core four, you have Marcelli here. And I do think Marcelli is going to be hugely impactful. He's going to be on that top line. You're going to see the top line. And let's see. I just want to make sure I got it exactly for you guys. So on the left wing, we will be seeing, let me just see if I can share this here with you guys. No, it's gonna be awful. I'm terrible at sharing screens. I wish I could. So your top line will be Matthew Knives. Actually, we'll try. Let's give it a shot, you guys. Let's try this. Because if I can share these screens with you guys, it's gonna be so much easier for you guys to follow along. So looking at this top line, there you go. Off of Daily Faceoff. Love using the site to look at those lines. You got Matthew Knives on the left wing there. You got Austin Matthews and Marcelli. That is your top line. Bobby McCann, John Tavares, William Nylander on that second line. The power behind these lines. Your third line, your player you really want to watch is Max Domi out there. I love the strength of him as well. So then your defensive pairing, you got Morgan Riley, Brandon Carlos on those defensive pairings. And then you're looking at Chris Tanev on that defensive line as well. And your top power play units, Matthew Knives, John Tavares, William Nylander, Morgan Riley, and Austin Matthews on that top power play unit, Bobby McCann, Roy Domi, Ekman Larson, and Marcelli on that second power play unit. This is going to be strength of this team. So I do think you look here at some line combos for these teams. This is going to be a solid way to look at them in this matchup. So looking at the line combos, when we look at that top line with Matthew Knives, with Austin Matthews, those are going to be your top goal scorers. You look here at Marcelli coming into this lineup. He is a pass first player out there. You've seen him over the years. He passes that puck, and then Austin Matthews and Matthew Knives are going to get those goals. Marcelli for the assist, you can look at. If your book has it, a lot of books don't have it listed. It's frustrating as we get into the hockey season, what bets we can and can't get out there on the ice. So looking at Marcelli for this one, you can get him for the point today. Looking at him for the points coming in at plus 112, you guys. And I think that is a great way to go. Now, you can take those line combos, though, and I played around with it. I was looking at Matthew Knives and Austin Matthews for the point combo. Their point combo is still too juiced at minus 134. But if you do think you can see multiple points on this line, and I do think multiple goals on this line, I do think we're going to see a goal probably out of Knives and out of Austin Matthews. And if that's the case, Marcelli is probably centering both of those. So if you look at, not centering, assisting both of those. So if you look at Marcelli and Knives and Matthews all for a point today, that's coming in at plus 204, parlayed together. Again, Marcelli just for the point or the goal. Or sorry, the point or the assist is where I'd go, not for the goal. Knives and Matthews is where I would go for those goals today. So yeah, the Blackhawks, they played a good game. That is for sure. They came out. Cole Caulfield is probably still nice on the ice. Oh, you got to love Cole Caulfield. Parlaying Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, definitely somewhere you want to go. Jay, thank you. You are very nice. Yeah, Knives and Marcelli for the point. That is a great way to go. And I think their point parlayed together will be a nice payout. If the problem is Austin Matthews is so highly juiced, but you look at those two guys, they have a lot to prove. I think Knives will get the goal and Marcelli will get the assist. So yeah, he was a brick wall. Okay, I'm just 1967. You got it. The last time the Maple Leafs hoisted that cup was 1967. Sometimes back when hockey was invented. Absolutely, it feels like a lifetime ago. And yeah, if you guys could hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification button over here on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, we feel sorry for all of you Ranger fans out there. It was a hard one. For the Rangers, will Suzuki get an assist? I do think so. So we're going to look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, where I'm looking with that. The parlay combination with Suzuki and Caulfield is another one you want to look at. It made us money last year, you guys. You know that. So the point combination there, Nick Suzuki is minus 178, and Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens is minus 128. So parlayed together, that gives you plus 118. You're going to get plus money when you start playing around with that market. I do think the power play points is something that we should be looking at for these guys. So Caulfield, so strong on the power play. He's even strong on the shorty, you guys. We did see him have success last year in a couple situations on the shorty. So looking at the power play points, let me just pull it up here. And all the odds I'm giving you guys are from FanDuel today. So Nick Suzuki for the power play points plus 170. Lane Hudson is plus 210. We know Lane Hudson was hugely impactful on the defense. That rookie was absolutely solid. And then you got Caulfield at plus 260. Now, Noah Dobson looking to make an impact. And I talk about this Montreal team, you guys, and we're going to get into the players to watch here. We're going to do it right away. But you got Demidov. This is going to be his first full season out here for the Montreal Canadiens. I am so excited with what we're going to see out of Demidov. He's plus 340 to be able to get a power play point tonight. I think there's a lot of opportunities on the power play for this Montreal Canadiens team. So let's look at these lineups really quick again. I will try to share my page with you guys. And let's see if we have success again sharing this page. So share screen, Montreal Canadiens lineup. Okay. Looks like we're doing it, you guys. Here's the Montreal Canadiens lineup. You got Caulfield on that top line, centered by Suzuki. And then a name that I butcher all the time. So you can see his name, and I'm just not going to throw it out there because every time I try to say it, I get it wrong. So we're just going to pass on it. We got Demidov on the right wing of the second line. We also have Patrick Laine. I really like what we see out of Laine. Left wing of that fourth line. This team has the depth out there. Like I said, lots of young talent that has the ability to be able to really go off in this game, especially in such a rivalry game. So Noah Dobson has been put on that top pairing with Matheson, and I do think it's a solid top pairing. You got Lane Hudson moved down to that second pairing there. And he should be nice and solid again this year. Looking at that top power play, this is where I would look at players for their point combos. You got Nick Suzuki, Caulfield, Lane Hudson, Demidov, and Slavkovsky. I can't say it. You guys, you know I can't say it. So that is your first power play unit. I do think looking at the combos in this one is going to bring you money home. Nick Suzuki, Caulfield, Lane Hudson, and Demidov. Those would be solid players to look at the power play points tonight. I do think they're going to be able to convert on the power play. I think it's a great way to go. So let's get into the players that you... Sorry, I hit the wrong button, you guys. What is wrong with me trying to do the layouts here? I need a producer behind the scenes some days, but that is where I'd go. So the players that I'm going to look at, Caulfield leads the team. Well, he led the team last year. And I do think he's going to be that player again. His power play point today at plus 260 is somewhere I already went. I did take him for the goal at plus 210, but I think parlaying him, Nick Suzuki, and Caulfield together, getting that plus 118 for their point today definitely is a money maker. It's still plus money. Suzuki had 89 points last season. Now Lane Hudson racked up 60 assists on his way of winning that Calder Trophy. So he was absolutely phenomenal. And then Demidov is the other player that I want to watch out there. Okay, so where am I going with the picks in this one? Long story short, you guys, give me the Montreal Canadiens to pull off the upset. I'm taking them straight up on the money line. The Montreal Canadiens have every ability to roll into Toronto and get the win. We're getting the Montreal Canadiens at plus 140 on that money line. Sign me up all day. Now, this is because I have faith in Sam Montague to come out strong to start the season. I also have faith in this young, talented core to be able to convert on the power play tonight. And I do think, even though we're going to see success here out of the Toronto Maple Leafs that they kind of, overlook the Montreal Canadiens, even though this is a rivalry game. Normally, Montreal is that team that no one expects to really be able to get anywhere to start the season. They come in with the chip on their shoulder. This is a team that got into the playoffs last season for the first time since 2021 that is eager and hungry to run it back this season. And I think they come away with the win tonight. Plus 140 for the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, we're going to move on to the next game. The next game here, we have the Boston Bruins taking on the Washington Capitals. In this one, we are seeing the Boston Bruins coming in as a dog on the road, and rightly so. They got rid of Brad Marchand. They let him out of the building, and you take away the B from the Bruins. They're just the Bruins. This team is a mess. They allowed all of those goals out there on the road last season, and they really didn't have the scoring side to give the support to Swayman. Swayman had an off season, but like I said at the start of the show, the defense in front of him absolutely was unhealthy. So Boston, could they play a bit better this year? They could. The Washington Capitals, on the other hand, looked really strong. We talked about them making it past the Montreal Canadiens in the first round. They're minus 192 favorites. They're minus 1.5 on that puck line at plus 132. And we've got an over-under in this one of 5.5. Now, this is going to be some fireworks out there on the ice, you guys. I really do think we're in for a fun one between these two teams. You look at Ovi, you guys, and we got to talk about Ovechkin. You talk about the Washington Capitals, you talk about Ovechkin. Ovi on that top line, he is 3 goals away from 900. He broke Wayne Gretzky's record last season. Ovi should come out with a bang in this one. The healthier he is at the start of the season, the more success he is going to have. And we know last year he really ramped up at certain parts, but I do think he's going to start hot out of the gate, especially versus the Bruins. Now, Swayman, he needs to come out stronger this season, and we know that he's going to be looking to do so. Something about Swayman is he does absolutely dominate versus the Washington Capitals. In the last 10 meetings versus the Capitals, he has a 223 save percentage and a 1.98 goals against average, allowing 2 or fewer goals in 9 of the last 10 meetings. So Swayman has been great versus the Capitals. And we look at the other side, who's in net for the Washington Capitals, Logan Thompson. He was 31-6-6 last season with a 910 save percentage and 2.49 goals against average. So really strong numbers. You'll see the blue line shared, the blue paint shared with Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren in net for the Washington Capitals. When we look at Logan Thompson last year versus the Boston Bruins, he had that one game where he got the 3-1 victory, you guys. That save percentage was outstanding, a 963 save percentage, stopping 26 of 26 shots on his net, and the Washington Capitals won that one, covering the puck line in that game 3-1. Now, can they win and cover the puck line in this game is going to be the biggest question mark, because you can't lay almost $2 on them here. Boston faces Boston's just a team. They traded away so many players. It's really hard to see them kicking off the season nice and strong. You look at them last season, they allowed an average of 3.3 goals per game out there on the road. Even worse, 3.76 goals allowed on the road. That was the second most goals allowed on the road per a team in the whole league. Now, they were strong at covering the puck line versus Metro, covered in the last 10. I don't know if I can trust them. Now, the total 5.5. I do lean to this one being an under because of these goaltenders. My hugest concern with this 5.5 is the empty netter. I can see this being a 3-1 style game. And then what happens is we see Boston or we see the Capitals get an empty netter pushing us over, right? Like, so I think there's too much opportunity for that late goal, that garbage goal, that empty netter that's going to push us over the total of 5.5. But I expect this one to start off super tight, super defensive. Now, one thing to watch, the Washington Capitals had the ability to get up in the first, and I do think this is going to be a game where either they get up in the first or we see 0-0. Like, I'm counting on Boston to not score in that first period. I don't think they come out strong and hard in the first. I think they try to play that defensive game, try to give Swayman the protection. So I would look, if you're looking for a first period, to stay under 1.5 goals. I would look for, if the goal comes, that it is the Washington Capitals, probably Ovi straight out of the gate, looking to make a statement to start the season. Your players to watch in this one. David Pastrnak here of the Boston Bruins. He was involved in 47% of the goals out there for Boston last season. Morgan Geekie was able to get a ton of assists because of it. Morgan Geekie has scored in each of the Bruins' last 6 games, so he really stepped up to finish the season for the Boston Bruins. I would look at Morgan Geekie and David Pastrnak for those parlays. So let me see here if I can share the screen for the Boston Bruins. I just have to open up their page here, you guys. So bear with me for 1 second as we look at those line combos for the Boston Bruins for you guys. I hope everyone's having a great start to the day. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notification button over on YouTube. I would really appreciate it, you guys. As well as if you're watching over on X, make sure you do come on over here to YouTube so you can drop those questions, comments. I'm going to be looking at them in just a second. So when we go over to Daily Faceoff and look at these lines, you guys, and what we're seeing for that top line, that's where Morgan Geekie is going to be. You've got Elias Lindholm centering that line, who brings that strength, brings that speed straight up the middle. And I do think between Geekie, Lindholm, and Pastrnak, you're going to see that line have success. But this team does have Zaka and Middlestat on that second line. Those are 2 players that really can set up some dangerous shots on goal. So I wouldn't look past them, but I would look at Geekie and Pastrnak for the point parlay. When we look at Geekie and Pastrnak for the point parlay, I'm just jumping over to FanDuel right now to get you that point combo for the Boston Bruins. My problem with Boston and taking a lot of their props today is I don't have faith in this team to make a big impact. And when we look at the problem here is Pasternak's minus 140 for a point, Morgan Geekie's minus 113. So I do think they combine and both get a point. The combination of the points coming in at plus 108. I would rather scrap Pasta and take Pasta out of the equation. Just take Morgan Geekie for the point. I know you're not parlaying anything. You just got a one-legger here, but Morgan Geekie for a point at minus 113, I do think is a better way to look at this game. So I'll take Morgan Geekie for the point in this game, expecting Boston to struggle to put those points up on the board. You got Charlie McAvoy on that top defensive pairing. And then when we look at that first power play unit, that's your first power play unit for the Boston Bruins. I think the Capitals can kill it off. I like the Capitals kill last season, and I do think we're going to have some struggles, but it's Pasta, it's Geekie, and it's Lindholm and McAvoy and Zaka. They will bring it. You've got Middlestat on that second power play unit. It's going to be pretty solid as the season goes on, but I do think it's going to take a couple of minutes for that really to be connecting out there on the ice. So that is what I'm liking for those line combinations, you guys. I'm going to get to your questions and comments. I do believe the Caps will be good defensive team as well this season. Kev, they're going to have to really step up defensively. We got solid goaltending, and we know it is an aging squad, right? So it's going to be interesting for sure. Okay. So we've gone over that. Let's look at the players to watch out here for the Washington Capitals. So Alex Ovechkin's coming off the game or the season where he just went over Wayne Gretzky's record all-time leading scorer record. He's 3 goals away from 900. It's going to be coming, right? He's going to be absolutely bringing it here. And I do expect success out of him. You're going to look at Dylan Strome as well and Portis, Dylan Strome, and Ovi make up that top line for the Washington Capitals. And let me just pull up their top lines for you guys so you can see exactly what I'm talking about as we go over this, you guys. So the Washington Capitals are a solid team, especially defensively and in net. They have a lot of veteran talent on their team and talent that can really get things done for us. So looking at the Washington Capitals lines, let's bring it up. I'm getting into the screen sharing for you guys because I know you love to see it as we talk about it. So Alex Ovechkin, left wing, centered by Dylan Strome and Portis there. That top line is going to be electric out there on the ice. I do think Portis brings that ability to get those assists to set up Ovi and Strome out there. Now, we know that power play unit as well. And you got Tom Wilson on the second line, you guys. Don't forget about Tom Wilson. He is a beast out there on the ice. You got John Carlson on the defensive pairing, and he's someone who made us money on the power play last season. So he's definitely someone we want to look at. Here is your power play unit for the Washington Capitals. And I do think this unit is going to be able to come out nice and strong, as well as their power play kill unit is going to be strong as well. So you look at Tom Wilson, Dylan Strome, Dubas, Carlson, and Ovi. I would look at these combinations, especially looking at Carlson here for the power play point, and then Ovi for the power play point, but looking at the combinations of these guys out there for the points that are on this top power play unit, because you're also seeing everyone except for Portis. Now, Portis is on the top line. I do think he can get the point today. He's interesting to look at that he's on the second power play unit instead. But I don't mind him on the second power play unit. He's got a couple of great players out there. He should be able to. Now, this is your kill, John Carlson on the kill. I love John Carlson on the kill. And we also have Portis and Tom Wilson on that second kill unit. These guys are going to have strength in this matchup. They should be able to come out nice and strong defensively and get things done. So that's definitely where you're looking at. You're definitely looking at the Caps on the puck line tonight, and bet, boy, Tony C., I'm with you. It has to be the Washington Capitals tonight in this matchup. That is exactly where I'm going to go with this bet. I do think they win it in a 3-1 style game, cover that puck line. So we're getting the Washington Capitals here on the puck line, -1.5. So they have to win it by 2 goals at +132. So if you see Boston go up first in this one, you could come back in on the Washington Capitals, because that -192 mark is going to drop significantly if Boston scores that first goal. But if Boston scores the first goal, I'll be shocked, you guys. I do think the Caps own and dominate in this matchup tonight. Okay. I'm going to look at your questions, your comments in just a second. We're going to talk the odds here for the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Battle of Alberta. This is going to be a doozy, you guys. I'm always in for a great Battle of Alberta night. You know, my old school Johnny Gaudreau jersey is going on. I miss Johnny Gaudreau, and my heart goes out to the Gaudreau family as the hockey season kicks off. The loss of him and his brother was so heartbreaking, and we just have to mention them, always remember them in the hockey world. Fantastic men that the world did lose. But looking at the Calgary Flames versus the Edmonton Oilers, Battle of Alberta rivalry out here. We have Calgary as a large dog, you guys. They're almost a $2 dog. They're coming in right around that +188 on the money line. With the puck line +1.5 at -134. A little bit too much juice, but you know, you're going to get a better number if Edmonton scores first. So I would, if you like Calgary to keep it tight, I'd wait. The Oilers on the money line at -230 and the puck line -1.5. You're not getting much value on the -1.5 for the Edmonton Oilers at all. And I wouldn't trust it. It's coming out +110, you guys, for Edmonton to win this one big. So let's get into breaking down this game. Like I said, I do think this is going to be a doozy of a game out there. We got a lot of players to watch. We got these goaltenders to break down. You guys know my lack of faith in the goaltending of the Edmonton Oilers. So you already know what I'm going to say there. I feel like we could fast forward it. Yeah, Portis for the point tonight. Top line with Ovi and Strome of the Washington Capitals all day long. That is a great bet, Hall. I'm definitely all over that already in this one. And you're right, an Irish King with the Edmonton Oilers first period laying the half a goal on the puck line. Okay, I don't blame you, and I understand where you're going. You've got two teams here. You've got Edmonton coming in off of another failed final run. It seems like Edmonton just has to be able to find a way to get it done. But every year, they're just not getting it, right? Like, they have every opportunity. They're making it all the way to the finals. Connor McDavid signed a 2-year, $12 million deal, giving this club a chance, 2 more years. He could have got so much money, you guys, but he's using his ability, not taking more money so that they don't bust the cap, for them to be able to improve, to get the players. Connor McDavid wants to bring the cup home to Canada with the Edmonton Oilers. I completely understand that. They've got the weight on their shoulders after losing the last two finals. This team needs to step up, and they need to step up straight out of the gate. The problem is with the Edmonton Oilers, if you watch the NFL, the Edmonton Oilers are the Cincinnati Bengals, you guys. They never show up to start the seasons. They start off the season slow. People start to panic, start to say, well, they're never going to make it. And then Edmonton turns everything on. At a $2 favorite, there's no way I can back Edmonton. I can't back them on the puck line either. I'm a Calgary girl. You know that. That's not my bias, though. That is how Edmonton comes out of the gate. They have these disappointing letdowns to start the season, and I just can't back them, especially with Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner has been so inconsistent between the pipes over the past 2 years. He's not a goaltender I can trust. You look at the Calgary Flames, they were this close to making the playoffs. You guys, we could taste it here in Calgary. Not able to get it done. They just came on too hot, too late. Well, they came on hot too late. You can never come on too hot out there on the ice, but you got Dustin Wolf, absolutely stellar between the pipes. He was ridiculously good. The Calgary Flames were supposed to be a complete rebuild last year, looking to be one of the worst teams, not a team that's just that close to making the playoffs. So Dustin Wolf was one of the reasons, because Calgary was a lower scoring team. They weren't able to get really the offensive production that they needed to get some of these wins. They had a .910 save percentage for Dustin Wolf and a 2.64 goals against average. They won their last 4 games, just coming short of the playoffs. And then we did see them cover the puck line the last 4 meetings in Edmonton. So they have been solid rolling into Edmonton. This is a great battle between these two teams, and they have really trended to the under when these teams have matched up. There's a couple of players that we need to watch here. Edmonton. So Irish King, you threw out the Edmonton Oilers first period on the puck line at minus a half a goal. It makes sense, right? Edmonton needs to come out and get it done. But last season, those last 4 games, and I know that was in the Stanley Cup Finals, they did end up losing those first 4 periods, coming slow out of the gates. And I do worry a little bit here if they'll come slow out of the gates, but this team should be revitalized with Connor McDavid signing that agreement. So I can't really hate on it. What I like better, though, is both teams to score in the first period. I think we're going to see Calgary score on Skinner and Edmonton be able to either answer first or answer back and get a goal. So both teams to score. So the over 1.5, you guys, I talked about it. It's just too highly juiced. It's minus 130. Both teams to score in the first period is plus 164. You're going to get great value on both teams to score. I like that better than just taking one team here in this battle. Now, I do think with how these teams have trended, they've scored 6 or fewer goals in all 3 meetings last season, how they have trended to the under. If we get both teams to score straight out of the gate, with an over-under going into this one of 5.5, we're going to see that number fire up to 6.5, as the books will think this one is flying over. We could have a 2-1 first period out of the Edmonton Oilers, and Irish King, you could cash that puck line. I do think, though, Calgary will answer back in the first, so I'll take both teams to score at plus 164. Before I forget to talk about these players to watch, let's jump into that. We have Nazem Kadri returning as a lead goal scorer here for the Calgary Flames, 35 goals and 67 points last season. Now, Jonathan Huberdeau and Popsicle will miss the start of the season, both with injuries. Sharakovic is a player that we definitely want to circle when he faces Edmonton. He's been able to score in the last 3 games versus Edmonton. He just absolutely brings it. He knows what the Battle of Alberta means to us here in Calgary, and he really steps up for us and gets things done. Now, on the other side, Zach Hyman out with a wrist injury, as well as Jake Wallman, one of their top defenders, who did just get a nice contract. So Jake Wallman will not be suiting up. We're not seeing why. It's undisclosed, and Janmark will be out of this game as well. That's a big injury with Wallman out of this lineup. Remember him in the playoffs last year? Remember how hard he was freaking hitting out there on the ice? Taking him off the ice gives Calgary's young talent out there the young, fast talent the opportunity to fire at Skinner. If they're firing at Skinner, you know something's going to give and something's going to go in. The problem here with Edmonton's their 1-2 punch with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and it's absolutely deadly out there, you guys. Connor McDavid at home last season, 54 points in 33 home games at Rogers Place. Outstanding, right? And then you look at Leon Draisaitl, and he had 52 goals and 106 points on the season. This 1-2 punch out of these guys is going to be killer and something to watch. So Leon Draisaitl, 71 games, 52 goals, 54 assists for 106 points. You look at Connor McDavid, 67 games, 26 goals, 74 assists for 100 points. Evan Bouchard, 82 games, 14 goals, 53 assists for 67 points. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Nuge out there. You got 78 games he played in, 20 goals, 29 assists, 49 points. You know what killed him being that 1 point away from 50. And then Zach Hyman, who was out with that wrist injury, 73 games last season, 27 goals, 17 assists for a total of 44 points. And the leaders over on the Calgary Flames, Nazem Kadri with the 82 games, like I said, 67 points, 34 goals, 33 assists. Huberdeau, who will be out tonight, 81 games. He was able to play 28 goals, 34 assists for 62 points. Really a great step up by Huberdeau. He was awesome on home ice. So when Huberdeau gets back in the lineup, you want to look at him out there on the home ice. You had Mackenzie Weegar, 81 games, 8 goals, 39 assists. So he's definitely a pass first player. You want to look at him for his points and his assists, 47 total points. Matthew Coronado coming out with 47 points as well in 77 games, 24 goals and 23 assists. And Blake Coleman with 82 games played. You got to love these guys that made all 82 games, 15 goals, 24 assists, and 39 points. So those are your playmakers out there between these two. For me, like I said, I'm going to look at both teams to score in the first period. It's coming in at plus 164. Then I'm going to watch for them to fire up this total, and then for us to take the under is where I'm going to go. I will look at some of these player combinations. I'm going to look at some of these players for their points. Sharankovic, with his goals that he has been able to score versus the Edmonton Oilers, he definitely is making my card tonight. I'm just going to pull up the anytime goal odds for him. Sharankovic coming in at... we're getting great value, guys. I'm still going down this line. He's coming in at plus 500 for the anytime goal, and I do think it's worth a little bit of a sprinkle. Now, as we look at these lineups for Calgary, going to pull them up for you guys here. Just let me get this up and running. Okay, here we go. We're doing it again, you guys. The line combinations here for the Calgary Flames. It is going to be solid, you guys. I do think your second line is where you want to look for the point combinations. Morgan Frost being moved over from the Philadelphia Flyers mid-season last year with that trade. Actually, it was pretty late in the season. It wasn't even mid. I do look for Morgan Frost to really have a step up. Morgan Frost with Coronado on that second line and grinding, I think is going to be where you want to look for those points. You're also going to get more value than that top line. So when we look here at the point combination, and it will be point combination out here for these players. Coronado's coming in at plus 112, which is great odds for Coronado. Now, when I look, I'm not seeing a point here listed. Oh, there he is. Morgan Frost is plus 124. Whew, scared me a little bit, you guys. Like I said, sometimes they just don't give us everything that we want. Coronado coming in at plus 112, Morgan Frost at plus 124. Parlayed for the point. You could do them separately. You're getting plus money on both. Parlayed for the point coming in at plus 112. I do like their ability to be able to get that points. Uyghur's on that first defensive pairing and Rasmus Anderson on that second. I'm glad Rasmus is still with us right now. But Morgan Frost and Coronado on that top power play unit, I think is a great way to look at their points and their points parlayed. Again, you're getting plus money for both of their points tonight, as well as parlaying them for their point parlay. I think it's a great way to go. Morgan Frost and Coronado, look at them for their points tonight. So we'll stop sharing that page. I just wish it would go back to this nice screen like that every time I go. Puck line is safe. They might win outright. Puck line feels safe for the Calgary Flames. You brought me to it. We're taking the Calgary Flames. We're taking the Calgary Flames tonight to pull off the upset in Edmonton. I told you the Edmonton Oilers are the Cincinnati Bengals to start the season. They can't get things done. I don't know what happens to Edmonton as they come straight out of the gate. Maybe it is a hangover from making it to the finals last season. They know these games to start off, but it is a rivalry game with the Calgary Flames. But I tell you, Calgary plus 1.5 is juicy at minus 134. It's worth a shot. If Edmonton goes up first, come back in on Calgary at plus 1.5. At that point, I do think outright straight up on that frickin' money line is going to make us some great plus money for the Calgary Flames tonight. I think they get it done. So Calgary on the money line is where I'm going to go. Last 5 games been 1-goal games. They absolutely come out nice and strong. I'm not sure what you meant. BK what? I'm not sure. Lisa, oh, good morning. Coronado and Frostpoint combo. It is a great combo. Nazem Kadri, so solid out there. He centers that top line. Definitely worth looking at Nazem Kadri for the anytime goal. It's going to be over and Oilers and Flames. It could definitely go over that total. We've seen the trend stay to that under. I think we fire it up right out of the gate. Dustin Wolf looking to have another solid season. It's going to be interesting to see what he has in that, and it's just going to come absolutely down to the freaking wire between these two. Could this be our first overtime game? This is a good question. First overtime game to start off the season between the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. It absolutely could be. If you're looking at an exact score, 4-3 overtime plus 1,900 for the Calgary Flames. Damn, now I've said it. I'm going to have to sprinkle, but I probably wouldn't go there. I just look at Calgary at plus 188. You're getting so much plus money on the Calgary Flames. When we look at the Edmonton Oilers, when we look at those top lines, there's no denying. I told you that 1-2 combo with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl is absolutely fantastic. Frederic on the other side there. So there is ability for Edmonton if they can shake off what happens to them when they first come out. So looking at that top line, there's Leon Draisaitl, you've got Connor McDavid and Frederic, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Andrew Mangiapane. He's such a traitor, you guys. Mangiapane will probably score on us tonight. Ex-Calgary Flames guy there, he's just a sour note. He's going to be booed when he comes to Calgary. He's lucky they're in Edmonton tonight. You got Henrique here. And then looking at Evan Bouchard on that top. Darnell Nurse as well. Darnell Nurse is a little dirty. That is for sure. Remember, they lost a couple players out here. Corey Perry is gone, a couple others. But this top power play unit is definitely where you want to look at. Nuge, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Connor McDavid, Tomaski. Definitely talent out there. A power play unit that is able to score, and then your top power play kills are right there. So it's going to be interesting, you guys. I don't see this being a game where, I don't know. I don't see this being a game where Calgary doesn't show up. I think this is a bigger statement that Calgary is making to look than Edmonton. So give me first period, both teams to score at plus 164. You can take the over 1.5 if you want it minus 130. If you want to take Edmonton, I wouldn't be shocked if it's 2-1 for Edmonton, but I think Calgary battles their way back. Remember, Calgary can make those comeback battles. Their young, raw talent out there is incredible. So definitely look at the Calgary Flames to fight their way back. Last game, we got the LA Kings, who are off a disappointing game last night. Second day of the season, the LA Kings already down 1-0, listed as the last in the Pacific because they took a loss. They'll take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights are so solid at home. Let me just bring up the screen here with the odds. There we go, you guys. So we got the LA Kings rolling in at plus 162. Puck line plus 1.5 at minus 164, and the Vegas Golden Knights on the money line minus 196, almost a $2 favorite. That puck line you will get. The puck line coming in plus 1.5 at plus or minus 1.5 at plus money. Your over under is set at 5.5 in this matchup. Okay, I'm just trying to get the screen up. There we go. Your goaltending matchup tonight is Forsberg versus Adin Hill in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Adin Hill, 50 starts last season, had a .906 save percentage, a 2.47 goals against average. Forsberg had a 11-12-3 record with a 2.72 goals against average and a .901 save percentage for the Ottawa Senators. Forsberg coming over here for the LA Kings now was with the Ottawa Senators last season. He's going to get more protection in front of him than Ottawa was able to provide. Ottawa's a team that I always get super high on, but they seem to not give that support to their goaltenders. So looking at the LA Kings, we know this defense is so solid. This is a hard-hitting, scrappy team out there on the ice. They're going to come with those strong forechecks, those strong back checks, and they're going to give Forsberg the support. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights are a solid team. We know it. They dominate at home. They failed to cover the puck line in their last 8 games as a favorite, though. So definitely something to remember as we roll into this season. They've now got Mitch Marner, though, and I do think Mitch Marner, with a new team, without the Toronto media, is going to shine here in Vegas. Look for Mitch Marner to really step up for the Vegas Golden Knights. You've got Jack Eichel. If he signed his contract since we've been talking, you guys, please let me know. Jack Eichel, an unrestricted free agent for the end of this season. They're trying to lock him in. Let me know if he's been locked in yet. And you're saying back-to-back might be some tired legs for Doughty and Kopitar. I kind of think opposite. Now, I know everyone wants to think tired legs as these guys get back out there. I do think this gives them an advantage, and especially in that first period, I'm looking for the LA Kings to come out hot out of the gate. Looking at them last night, you guys, you look at the LA Kings last night. This was a problem with them. They started off so slow. They lost 4-1 versus the Avs. That was a home opener. So someone asked me on X what I like going into the second period. I grabbed the over 4.5 goals at plus 100. We finished with those 5 goals. That's what I mean. In hockey, the books overreact. They drop that total to 4.5. When you see that and you're originally thinking both of these teams can score, the 4.5 was gone within the first couple minutes of the second period as the Avs put up that goal. But the over 4.5 was plus 100. So always look for those numbers. But when we look at the LA Kings, in the first period, they got 6 shots on goal. The second period, 5 shots. And then they ramped it up in the third. They came out with 14 shots on net. Now, they need to stay out of the frickin' box. And this is one thing. The Kings were so scrappy last night. They were starting those fights left, right, and center. They need to stay out of the box. They gave the Avs 6 power play opportunities. The Avs were able to cash on one of them. They went 1-4 on their power play opportunities as well. Physicality, 33 hits, 25 shots on goal, and they won 55% of the faceoffs. They should have been able to play a stronger game in that one last night. So I'm kind of disappointed with what we saw. You're saying you too, Dre. I like when people say me too. So Forsberg, I do think is going to be solid in net for the Kings tonight. Aiden Hill should be solid for the Vegas Golden Knights as well, but I do think the Kings start this one off hot. Before I get to exactly what I'm liking, let's look at these players that you want to circle tonight. Players to watch out here for the LA Kings. We talked about it last night. Kempe, Kopitar. The strength of these guys is so solid. And I do think looking at them on the point combination, Kuzmenko let us down. So we did get, we got Kempe and Kopitar, and we didn't get Kuzmenko for the point. So that point combo parlay didn't hit because of that. Kempe and Kopitar were able to get the assists. Fiala coming out with the only goal last night. 4 games versus Vegas, and Fiala last season was able to get 2 goals and 3 assists, 1 goal and 3 shots on goal last night. So if you want to look at Kevin Fiala to continue to bring that momentum, I definitely think he's a player you want to watch. On the other side here for Vegas, it's Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner will have a step up. I do think he probably gets those assists, and we see Jack Eichel get the goal. Now, Brandon Saad for the goal. I know. Brandon Saad. Who's Brandon Saad? Well, if you followed last year, you know we made some money with him. He's plus 480 for the goal. The point or the assist, not available for either. The books are just killing me with that. If you can get Brandon Saad, and it's S-A-A-D there, for the Vegas Golden Knights for a point or an assist, definitely look there. He's the right wing of the third line with Thomas Hertl in the center. I do think Thomas Hertl gets the goal. Brandon Saad gets the assist. So if you parlay the two of them, if you can get the points, it will get some beautiful money. But he scored a goal in each of the last 2 home games for Vegas versus the Kings. So he has stepped up versus his Kings team. His size comes out there, and he's able to make that impact. So I do think Brandon Saad is definitely someone that you want to look at out there on the third line for the Vegas Golden Knights to be able to get those points on the board. But let's wrap up, you guys. The LA Kings, I'm gonna go first period money line for the LA Kings at plus 138 with a game under their belt last night. I do think they have a step ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights. Will they be able to win this? Maybe not. So I'll take them first period money line at plus 138. If you like Vegas at that point, come back in on Vegas if the Kings are able to go up first in this game. Again, you're going to bring a $2 favorite down to minus 110. That's where the value is. Betting hockey, you've got to watch these lines. The Kings team total over 2.5 goals coming in at minus 106. They're over 3.5 goals. If you really think the Kings are going to be able to go over 3.5 goals, it's coming in at plus 230. One thing I want to point out is how the games unfolded last season between these two teams. So last season, 4 meetings, all of them high scoring affairs, you guys. Vegas won the first matchup 6-1. So they just locked down the Kings, held them off the board, only allowed them to get 1 goal. They scored 6. So the over, definitely something you want to look at tonight, because these are the trends for all 4 of the meetings. So the Kings took the next 3 games. They did win the second, third, and fourth game. They won the second game 6-3. They won the third game 5-2, and they won the fourth game 6-5, if I can count. So all of these games between these two have gone flying over that total, you guys. So that total of 5.5. We are seeing the juice on the 5.5 to the over at minus 128. If you're willing to take the LA Kings to score 4 goals tonight, it's plus 230 for the 4 goals. If you want to go on Vegas, and I don't blame you, Vegas is so dominant at home, you guys. You can look at Vegas's team total. And I really encourage you guys, when you do start looking at these lines, when you're liking a total, to start looking at these teams and where you think they're going to be able to have success. So Vegas over 3.5 goals is plus 100, where you're getting the LA Kings over the 3.5 at plus 230. So the books are expecting a 4-2 style game here out of the Vegas Golden Knights. So if you want that 4-2 where the books are sitting, you're going to get Vegas at plus 100. For me, it's the Kings to come out nice and hard and fast and to be able to take that first period over the Vegas Golden Knights. And then maybe, depending on what I'm seeing out there, I will be coming back in on the Vegas Golden Knights. So make sure you do stay tuned to my X. I will post anything like that on there. And the Kings are definitely a good road team. And it's just about 45 to an hour flight, LA to, yeah, they should bounce back. They should play strong tonight in this one. The Kings went 16-19 on the road last year, almost above 500. Yeah, and I think you were getting a great price for the LA Kings tonight because of what we saw last night. Now, with all hopes to try to make this show shorter for you guys, we just talked 4 games in an hour. How do we make this show shorter? I don't know. We've got a loaded slate tomorrow. We will fly through things a lot faster. For everyone skipping ahead, we're looking at, what time is it? 57-minute mark for this recap, you guys. I'm going to try to bookmark that if you guys want to just jump ahead. So where I'm going to go with those best bets, if you want the line combos, you're going to have to go back and look at that. It's way too much to talk about. But best bets, give me the Montreal Canadiens to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, get the win at plus 140. Give me Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki parlay together. I love that one. Demidov, Cole Caulfield, and Nick Suzuki, as well as Matthew Knives, Austin Matthews, and Marcelli, all for points tonight. I do think they're coming in. Parlay the point combos over on Toronto side, and then look at the combos on the Montreal Canadiens side as well. But Montreal gets that one. Give me the Washington Capitals at home to get the win and cover. The puck line laying 1.5 at plus 132. Boston is just destroyed. I do lean under in this game, but I worry about an empty netter. Give me Ovi to start off the season hot. 3 goals away from 900. And I do think he should get it. Portis for the point. My favorite point prop on this game is Portis for the point for the Washington Capitals tonight on that top line with Ovi and Dylan Strome. The Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. Give me the Flames plus 1.5, but only if Edmonton goes up first. I do think they're worth a shot straight up on the money line for a win tonight. Both teams to score in the first period at plus 164. I will wait for the Flames plus 1.5 if Edmonton goes up. Going into this game, I will take straight up money line, as I do think they're going to get the win. Now, if you're looking at the 1-2 punch, it's Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers. Over for the Flames, Nazem Kadri definitely wants to make your list tonight, as well as Sharankovic to come out nice and strong. And last but not least, the LA Kings first period money line at plus 138. Team total over 2.5 goals at minus 106. Maybe a little sprinkle on over 3.5 at plus 230. They have the ability to roll into Vegas, get off to a hot start, but I do think Vegas probably answers back. Look for Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel to get those points on the board for the Vegas Golden Knights. You guys, player point parlay of the day. Okay, player point parlay of the day. Let's take Portis for the Washington Capitals. Let's take Mitch Marner for the Vegas Golden Knights. That's 2, you guys. Let's take Nazem Kadri for the Calgary Flames for a point. Let's just stay there. And one more. Let's look at do we want Cole Caulfield? Or do we want Matthew Knies? I think Matthew Knies, no matter what, steps up, even though I think Montreal can get the win. So that is your player point parlay for the day. You guys, all the best in all your bets. Thanks for joining me over here on Puck It with Joe. Don't forget, if you are looking to get into that NHL player point survivor, it's only $10 to enter. It's right up there. Scan that little barcode up there. That will get you in to the player point parlay or the player point survivor on Splash Sports. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come play against me, you guys. We're going to be rolling with the player points on this show. I want to know where you're going. And for only $10, you can enter up to 33 times if you're crazy. But definitely just jump in, get that one. But Mo, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's so good to see all of the names coming back season in and season out. All the best in all of your bets. We'll see you tomorrow.